Henry VIII's wails pierce Whitehall's icy halls, a dying lion's cry. Once a golden king, his 400-pound body rots, leg ulcers oozing stench, courtiers gag, clutching perfumed cloths. Candlelight dances on his sallow face, no longer majestic, but a mask of pain and fear. "Lift me!" Henry roars, voice brittle. Physicians, trembling, crank a wooden crane to hoist his bulk. An ulcer's touch ignites agony. "Traitors!" he screams, eyes blazing. Once he ruled empires, now his flesh imprisons him, each breath a battle against encroaching death. Dr. Butts presents a goblet, gold flecks in dark liquid. "For your pain, Majesty," he murmurs. Henry snarls, "Gold betrays me." He drinks, choking, the potion useless. His sunken eyes burn, defiant, as disease gnaws deeper, mocking his crown's power. Midnight. Henry, fevered, whispers, "Man, forgive me." Boleyn's ghostly eyes haunt him, accusing. He screams, flinging a candlestick. A maid flees his wrath. Clutching Jane Seymour's locket, he weeps. The ghosts of his victims crowd the dark, unrelenting in their silence. In a dim chamber, Edward Seymour plots. "The king's time ends," he tells Norfolk, voice like ice. "Edward VI is mine." Norfolk growls, "You'll never rule." Seymour brandishes a treason warrant, smirking. Whitehall hums with treachery as Henry's life slips away. Catherine Parr glides in, her calm a fragile mask. "You summoned me, Majesty?" she asks. Henry, slurring, snaps to gloat. She kneels. "I pray for you." Her heart pounds, longing for Thomas Seymour, chained by duty to a king nearing his end. Snow blankets London. In a tavern, a baker mutters, "The king's rotting alive." A woman frets, "Who'll shield us now?" A boy asks, "He's immortal, right?" Fearful eyes betray their laughter. Henry's illness cracks England's soul. A kingdom dreading the void. Opium veils Henry's mind. He dreams of Rome's fall, More's judging stare. Awake he shrieks, "I built England." Leeches suck his blood, his cries echoing. The king who forged a nation now fights phantoms, his spirit fracturing under relentless pain. Henry grips his will, hands shaking, ink smearing. "Edward, Mary, Elizabeth," he chants, securing his dynasty. He dreads his counsel's greed will doom his son. Eyes fading, he writes, desperate to bind England's fate, even as death binds him. January 27, a seizure grips Henry, body thrashing. Courtiers restrain him, his screams shattering silence. The stroke steals his voice, paralyzing half his frame. Physicians burn irons, useless. Henry's eyes, wide with dread, see death's shadow closing in, unyielding. Archbishop Cranmer kneels by Henry's bed, his face grave. "Your Majesty, trust in God," he whispers, grasping Henry's limp hand. The king's eyes, clouded with pain, flicker. Silence grips the room. Death hovers, but Henry clings to life. A lion refusing to yield. Henry's breath rattles, each gasp a struggle. "They're here," he mutters, seeing Boleyn's ghost again. His scream pierces the night, shaking courtiers. "I'm still king," he gasps, but fear chokes him. The man who ruled by terror now cowers before his own sins. In a shadowed hall, Edward Seymour plots with Cranmer. "Norfolk's done," he says, eyes gleaming. "I'll be Lord Protector." Cranmer nods, wary. "The boy needs us," he murmurs. Seymour's smile is cold. As Henry fades, Seymour's power rises. A new kingmaker in waiting. London streets buzz with dread. A comet streaks the sky, a baker calls it the King's End. In churches, priests preach of decay, linking Henry's rotting legs to England's sins. The people pray, fearing a kingdom without its lion, adrift in a storm. Catherine Parr pens a letter to Thomas Seymour, her hand trembling, "Soon we'll be free," she writes, then hides it. She visits Henry, his groans filling the air. "Rest, my lord," she says, but her heart races, torn between duty and forbidden love. Henry, half conscious, traces his will's lines. "Edward must rule," he whispers, voice fading. He fears Seymour's ambition, Norfolk's defiance. Ink stains his fingers, a last act of control. But his hand falters, death's grip tightening. Stealing his power to shape England's fate. Physicians crowd Henry's bed, their potions useless. "Burn the irons," one cries, searing Henry's skin. He screams, a raw animal sound. Dr. Wendy whispers, "We've failed." Their fear mirrors Henry's. Failure means disgrace, or worse, the king's life slips through their hands. Henry dreams of Edward, a frail boy on a vast throne. "My son," he murmurs, waking in tears, "will you stand?" He clutches Jane's locket, haunted by his boy's fragility. The king who broke empires dreads his heir's weakness, a dynasty at risk. Whitehall holds its breath. Henry's seizures worsen, his cries echoing. Courtiers whisper, "He's dying." Seymour orders secrecy. No word leaves these walls. The king's illness is England's wound, hidden to prevent chaos. But truth festers, like the ulcers consuming Henry's flesh. Cranmer leans close, urging Henry to confess. "God waits, Majesty," he says. Henry, voiceless, stares, eyes wide with dread. A faint groan escapes, a plea for mercy. The king who judged thousands now faces judgment, his soul heavy with blood and betrayal. Henry's lips quiver, voiceless. "God, spare me," he whispers, eyes scanning shadows for Boleyn's ghost. His fingers clutch the sheet, seeking absolution. The king who damned thousands now kneels in his mind, a shattered soul, his crown no shield against eternity's judgment. Seymour stalks Whitehall's halls, guards bowing low. "Norfolk rots in chains," he tells Cranmer, eyes glinting. "I'll guide Edward," Cranmer warns. "Power blinds." Seymour's laugh is sharp, a blade. As Henry's life drains, Seymour carves his path to England's throne. Snow buries London. In a church, a priest cries, "Pray for our king." Villagers whisper of falling stars. Henry's wrought their omen. England bleeds, a mother sobs. His illness is their fear, a kingdom unmoored, awaiting wolves without its lion's guard. Catherine stares at Henry's writhing form, his groans a storm. She burns a letter to Thomas Seymour, heart pounding. "Be strong," she tells Henry, voice steady, but her eyes betray love's spark. A secret fire kindled as death loosens her chains. Henry's trembling hand traces his will. "Edward, my blood," he rasps, naming heirs. He sees Seymour's hunger, Norfolk's defiance. Ink spills, a desperate bid to bind England. But his strength fades, death's shadow swallowing his dream of an eternal dynasty. Physicians surround Henry, their hands stained with failure. "Heat the irons," one shouts, searing his flesh. Henry's scream splits the air, raw, primal. "We're doomed," Dr. Wendy mutters. Their potions, gold leeches, crumble. The king slips, dragging their hopes into darkness. Henry dreams of Edward, a boy dwarfed by a golden throne. "My son," he weeps, waking to Jane's locket. "Will you endure?" The king who shattered Rome fears his heir's fragility. A legacy trembling in the hands of a child. Seymour bars the bedchamber. "No one speaks," he hisses. Courtiers murmur, "He's gone." Henry's death is a state secret, locked to thwart chaos. Seymour's eyes burn with purpose, wielding silence like a sword to secure Edward's fragile crown. January 28, dawn's edge. Henry's chest stills, eyes frozen in terror. Cranmer whispers, "God receive him." A physician confirms, head bowed. The lion is dead. Whitehall's air grows heavy, a kingdom's heart stopping with its king's last shuddering breath. Seymour decrees 3 days of silence. Courtiers comply, faces taut. Edward VI, unaware, plays in a distant hall. Seymour moves swiftly, seizing forts, crushing rivals. Henry's death is his weapon, a chess move to crown him England's unseen king. Edward VI, 9 and frail, stands in Whitehall's cold hall. "Is father gone?" he asks, voice trembling. Seymour kneels. "Your king now, Majesty." Edward's eyes well with tears. A child thrust onto a throne, unaware of the wolves circling his fragile crown. Henry's body lies in state, bloated, rotting. The stench seeps through velvet drapes, servants gagging. Physicians whisper, infection consumes him. His massive form, once England's pride, now a grotesque monument to excess. Decaying as a kingdom mourns its fallen titan, Seymour meets the Privy Council, voice like steel. "Edward rules, I protect." A lord protests, "The king's will." Seymour cuts him off. "I am the will." His eyes burn, seizing power. Henry's death is his ladder, each step crushing rivals. Catherine Parr gazes at Henry's empty bed, her heart torn. "You are my cage," she whispers, tears falling. She dreams of Thomas Seymour, freedom's promise, yet guilt binds her. She mourned the king but not the man, his shadow lingering. London's bells toll, heavy with loss. Crowds gather, weeping. The lion's dead, a merchant sobs. In villages, priests preach of judgment, Henry's wrought a warning. His reign, cruel yet mighty, was their anchor. Now England drifts, fearful of a child's rule. Henry's will, inked with his dying hand, names a council to guide Edward. Seymour scoffs a dead man's words. He burns the balance Henry sought, crowning himself Lord Protector. The king's last wish crumbles, his dynasty at mercy of ambition. Henry's coffin, vast as his ego, splits during the lying in state. Fluids leak, dogs lapping the seepage. Servants gasp, hiding the horror. The king, obsessed with majesty, suffers this final indignity, his body betraying him even in death's embrace. Mary, Henry's eldest, watches the funeral from shadows. "Father, I'll restore your faith," she whispers, Catholic heart resolute. The Protestant tide rises, but she vows to fight. Henry's death ignites her fire, a queen waiting to reclaim her birthright. Elizabeth, just 13, observes the court, her mother's execution a scar. "I'll survive," she murmurs, masking her wit. Henry's death leaves her vulnerable, yet her keen eyes study Seymour's game. A future queen learns, silent in the lion's shadow. February 16. Henry's coffin rolls through London, draped in black. A wax effigy, young and proud, hides his decay. Mourners bow, but whispers spread. The king's corpse weeps. The lion's grandeur masks a truth too grim for England's heart. Henry's coffin lies in Windsor's chapel, beside Jane Seymour. Candlelight flickers on stone, his name carved eternal. Courtiers bow, but none weep. The lion sleeps, his roar silenced. England mourns, yet whispers of a new dawn stir, fragile as the boy king's reign. Seymour, now Lord Protector, strides past Edward's throne. "I rule for you, Majesty," he tells the boy, eyes cold. Edward nods, a puppet in velvet. Henry's will, meant to balance power, lies in tatters. Seymour's ambition crowns him, England's shadow king. Catherine Parr sheds her mourning veil, heart racing. "Henry's gone," she whispers, writing to Thomas Seymour. Their love, once forbidden, blooms in secret. Yet his shadow lingers, her freedom bittersweet. She steps into light, but the lion's cage still haunts her dreams. Villages hum with unease. "No king like Henry," a farmer mutters, fearing French swords. Priests speak of comets, God's wrath. His death leaves a chasm, England's soul unmoored. The people pray for Edward, but dread a throne too heavy for a child. Mary kneels in her chapel, rosary in hand. "I'll honor you, Father," she vows, Catholic faith burning. Seymour's Protestant tide threatens her. Henry's death fuels her resolve, a spark for battles yet to come, her crown a distant but fierce hope. Elizabeth, silent in Whitehall's shadows, watches Seymour's rise. "Father's gone," she murmurs, Boleyn's fate her warning. Her sharp mind catalogues each move, learning survival. Henry's death leaves her exposed, but her heart whispers, one day she'll claim his throne. Henry's will, locked in Seymour's hands, names Edward's council. "A dead king's dream," Seymour sneers, ignoring it. His power grows, but cracks form. Mary, Elizabeth, wait in wings, their father's blood a chain binding them to England's fractured future. Holbein's portrait looms in Whitehall, Henry's broad shoulders defiant. He was England, a courtier sighs. The rotting corpse is forgotten, replaced by this titan. His image, crafted in life, outlives him. A lie of majesty masking a man's frail end. Henry's wars drained England's gold. His palace is a king's ransom. Seymour counts empty coffers, cursing. "He spent like a god," a clerk mutters. The lion's extravagance burdens Edward's reign, inflation stirring unrest, a kingdom paying for its fallen king's glory. Edward VI sits on the throne, dwarfed by its weight. "Father, guide me," he whispers, clutching a prayer book. Seymour's shadow looms, his voice unheard. Henry's death thrusts a child into a storm. England's hopes pinned on a boy too young to rule. Henry's name lingers in Whitehall's halls, his roar a fading echo. Courtiers whisper, "No king like him." His shadow looms over Edward's throne, a titan's weight. England mourns, but Seymour's grip tightens, reshaping a kingdom the lion no longer rules. Seymour pushes Protestant reforms, Cranmer at his side. Henry's church lives, he declares, burning Catholic relics. Edward nods, a boy swayed. The lion's ambiguous faith, Catholic rights, Protestant rule, twists into Seymour's vision. A New England rising from Henry's ashes. Catherine weds Thomas Seymour in secret, her heart alight. "Henry's gone," she whispers, kissing her love. But his brother's shadow, Edward Seymour, looms. Her joy is fragile, tainted by court intrigues. The lion's widow steps forward, yet his cage still clings. Markets buzz with fear. Edward's too young, a traitor grumbles. Prices soar, Henry's wars draining gold. In fields, farmers curse Seymour's taxes. The lion's death sparks unrest. His lavish reign a debt England pays. Its people restless under a child's crown. Mary prays in solitude, her Catholic soul defiant. "Father broke Rome, not faith," she murmurs, clutching a cross. Seymour's reforms choke her. Henry's death kindles her resolve. A queen in waiting, plotting to restore the old ways. Her heart a battlefield. Elizabeth reads by candlelight. Boleyn's fate her shield. "Father's court taught me," she whispers, memorizing Seymour's moves. Henry's death leaves her adrift, but her mind sharpens, a princess forging armor in silence, dreaming of a throne she'll one day seize. Servants catalog Henry's treasures, jeweled daggers, royal seals. A chest reveals Jane's portrait, a lock of Elizabeth's hair. "He kept these," a maid gasps. The lion's heart hidden beneath tyranny surfaces, a man who loved, now lost to time. Seymour faces a council, coins scarce. "Henry's palaces bled us," he snaps. Monastic lands sell fast, fueling unrest. The lion's extravagance haunts England. His navy strong but coffers empty. Edward's reign begins in debt, a kingdom staggering under a dead king's weight. Edward kneels in chapel, voice small. "Father, was I enough?" he asks, clutching Henry's ring. Seymour's commands drowned his will. The lion's son, crowned in velvet, carries a throne's burden, his heart yearning for a father now only a memory. Holbein's portrait stares from Whitehall, Henry's eyes fierce. "He lives here," a courtier murmurs. The rotting corpse fades, this image eternal. His myth, broad shoulders, defiant stance, shapes England's soul, a king who conquered death, through art's unyielding lie. Henry's voice haunts Whitehall's walls, a distant growl. He shaped us. A guard whispers, polishing armor. Edward's court moves on, but the lion's shadow lingers, his will a chain. England breathes uneasily, his absence a wound that festers in the boy king's reign. Seymour, Lord Protector, rules with an iron grip. Edward's will is mine, he tells Cranmer, voice sharp. The boy king signs decrees, unaware. Henry's balanced counsel lies forgotten. Seymour's ambition a crown he wears, heavy with the lion's betrayed dreams. Catherine, now Thomas Seymour's wife, laughs in her garden. Henry's ghost fades, she says, kissing her love. But Edward Seymour's power threatens. Her happiness trembles, a delicate flame in a court still ruled by the lion's lingering, vengeful shadow. In muddy fields, farmers curse rising prices. Henry's wars broke us, one spits, sowing barren soil. Seymour's reforms spark riots, bread scarce. The lion's death leaves England staggering, his golden reign a debt that chokes the poor under Edward's fragile rule. Mary clasps her rosary, eyes fierce. Father's faith was mine, she whispers, defying Seymour's Protestant wave. Henry's death hardens her, a Catholic queen in waiting. Each prayer is a vow, her father's blood fueling her fight for England's soul. Elizabeth walks Whitehall's halls, her steps silent. Father taught me power, she murmurs, watching Seymour's errors. Henry's death leaves her vulnerable, but her mind is a blade, sharpening for a future crown, forged in the lion's fire and ruin. A servant opens Henry's chest, finding a child's prayer book. Elizabeth's. He kept this, she whispers, awed. Jane's locket gleams beside it, relics of a heart buried under tyranny. The lion's love, hidden in life, speaks softly in death. Henry's ships, built with his pride, guard England's shores. His navy lives, an admiral boasts, sails taut, but Seymour neglects them, gold gone. The lion's vision of sea power fades, his legacy a fleeting strength in a kingdom turning inward. Edward, crowned but small, writes in his journal, "Father, I'm alone," he scrawls, tears falling. Seymour's voice drowns his own, a child lost in velvet. Henry's death leaves a void, his son aching for a strength he never knew. Holbein's portrait glares, Henry's eye is unyielding. He's immortal, a courtier breathes, bowing. The decayed body is forgotten, this image England's truth. His myth, carved in paint, outlives the man, a king who conquered time with a gaze of stone. Henry's shadow fades in Whitehall, his roar a memory. He held us together, a scribe laments, pen trembling. Edward's court frays, factions clawing for power. The lion's death unravels England, his iron will no longer binding a kingdom teetering on division. Seymour, Lord Protector, faces rebels' whispers. Edward's my shield, he tells Cranmer, voice tense. The boy king signs orders, eyes vacant. Henry's counsel, meant for balance, splinters under Seymour's rule. His power, a throne built on sand, trembling with each defiant murmur. As Catherine, Thomas Seymour's bride, dances in her chambers. We're free, she laughs, but his ambition mirrors his brother's. Henry's death freed her, yet Seymour's schemes bind her anew. The lion's widow, caught in love's web, fears a court that never sleeps. In London's streets, crowds shout, bread, not taxes. Henry's wars left coffers bare, Seymour's rule fuels hunger. The lion fed us glory, a smith curses starving. The boy king's reign falters, England's heart pulsing with unrest. Henry's shadow no comfort. Mary kneels, praying for England's soul. Father, you strayed, she whispers, clutching her rosary. Seymour's Protestant decrees choke her. Henry's death stokes her fire. A Catholic queen dreaming of a throne to restore the faith her father broke. Elizabeth studies Seymour's missteps, her mother's ghost to guide. Father's court was a game, she murmurs, plotting survival. Henry's death leaves her sidelined, but her intellect grows, a princess honing her will, eyes fixed on a crown beyond reach. A servant finds Henry's sketches, grand tombs, bronze statues. He wanted eternity, she sighs, dusting them. His plans, vast as his ego, lie unfinished, melted for war. The lion's dreams of immortality crumble, his name left to history's mercy. Cranmer pens the Book of Common Prayer. Seymour's nod. Henry's church evolves, he says, ink flowing. Catholic rites fade, Protestant roots deepen. The lions break with Rome echoes. His faith a seed now blooming in a kingdom he no longer knows. Edward, pale and coughing, sits at council. "Father's strength," he whispers, gripping Henry's seal. Seymour speaks for him, a child silenced. The lion's son bears a crown too vast, his heart heavy with a legacy he can't uphold. Henry's portrait watches Whitehall, a wound unhealed. "He broke us," a lord mutters, eyeing Seymour's rule. His death birthed chaos, his will ignored. The lion's reign, mighty yet flawed, scars England, its future carved in blood and ambition. Henry's death snaps England's chains, his iron grip gone. "He was our strength," the courtier sighs, eyes on Edward's empty throne. Factions clash, Seymour's rule wobbling. The lion's absence breeds chaos, a kingdom unraveling without the roar that held it whole. Seymour faces a defiant council, voices rising. "You're no king," a lord snaps. Edward, silent, watches. "Henry's will binds us," Seymour retorts, but doubt creeps in. The lion's death weakens his hold. Ambition cracking under the weight of a boy's crown. Catherine, Thomas Seymour's wife, feels joy sour. "Henry's court haunts us," she whispers, his brother's shadow looming. Her love battles fear, Thomas's schemes pulling her back to danger. The lion's widow, freed yet trapped, mourns a peace she'll never fully grasp. Torches light London streets, crowds chanting, "Down with Seymour." Hunger gnaws, Henry's debts crushing them. "The lion's wars starved us," a weaver roars. Edward's reign teeters, the people's rage a fire sparked by a king whose glory left them empty. Mary pins letters to Catholic allies, her faith a shield. "Father's blood runs in me," she murmurs, defying Seymour's reforms. Henry's death emboldens her, a queen plotting in shadows, her heart set on a throne to reclaim England's lost faith. Elizabeth, ever watchful, studies court intrigues. "Father's mistakes guide me," she whispers. Boleyn's fate her armor. Henry's death leaves her powerless, but her mind weaves plans, a princess biding time, her eyes on a crown glowing in the distance. A servant polishes Henry's dagger, its jewels dulled. "He touched this," she breathes, awed. Jane's locket, Elizabeth's book, relics of a man beneath the myth. The lion's heart, buried in tyranny, whispers of love lost to his ruthless reign. Cranmer's prayers echo, Protestant hymns rising. "Henry's church is ours," he tells Seymour, erasing Catholic traces. The lion's break with Rome fuels division, his faith a spark igniting battles. England's soul splits, torn between old rites and a new, uncertain path. Edward coughs, pale under his crown. "Father, help me," he whispers, clutching Henry's seal. Seymour's orders stifle him, a child drowning in velvet. The lion's son falters, his body weak, his reign a fragile thread in England's storm. Henry's portrait looms, eyes piercing time. "He broke and built us," a scribe writes, trembling. His death scars England, his will a ghost haunting Seymour's rule. The lion's reign, mighty yet flawed, wounds a nation seeking its soul. Henry's echo fades, in Whitehall, his name a whisper. "He was our fire," a maid sighs, sweeping empty halls. Edward's court stumbles, the lion's strength gone. England seeks its soul, his death a void that shapes a nation's trembling dawn. Seymour's power cracks, lords plotting his fall. "I am England," he shouts, voice hollow. Edward watches, silent. Henry's will ignored haunts him. The lion's death births Seymour's rise, but ambition burns too bright. his rule crumbling under a boy king's shadow. Catherine, Thomas Seymour's wife, fears his reckless schemes. "Henry's court traps us," she whispers, "love tainted." Her freedom, won at his death, slips away. The lion's widow carries his weight, her heart caught in a web of Seymour ambition. Villages starve, Henry's debts crushing hope. The lion's glory fed us lies, a farmer curses, fields barren. Seymour's taxes spark rebellion, Edward's name a hollow cry. The kingdom mourns its king, his death a wound bleeding into England's heart. Mary, unbowed, dreams of England's crown. "Father, I'll mend your faith," she vows, rosary gleaming. Seymour's Protestant tide fuels her fire. Henry's death forges her path, a Catholic queen, ready to claim a throne torn by his legacy. Elizabeth, silent in shadows, sees Seymour's fall. "Father's blood is my strength," she murmurs. Boleyn's courage hers. Henry's death leaves her waiting, but her mind weaves a future. The lion's daughter eyes a throne, her destiny a star rising. A scribe finds Henry's prayer book, stained with ink. "He sought God," he breathes, tracing faded words. Jane's locket, Elizabeth's hair, traces of a man lost to myth. The lion's heart, hidden in life, lingers, a whisper of humanity. Cranmer's Protestant hymns drown Catholic chants. "Henry's church is reborn," he declares, Seymour nodding. The lions break with Rome, scars England, faith a battlefield. His death ignites a war of souls, the kingdom split by a king's divided heart. Edward, frail, coughs blood, his crown too heavy. "Father, I failed," he whispers, clutching Henry's ring. Seymour's rule fades, a child's reign crumbling. The lion's sun dims, his life a flicker in a storm, sparked by his father's death. Henry's portrait burns in England's soul, eyes eternal. "He shaped us," a poet writes, quill trembling. His death births Mary, Elizabeth, a dynasty forged in blood. The lion's roar echoes, a fire that lights England's path through chaos to glory.